Most Britons believe that the BBC was wrong to have Land of Hope and Glory and Rule Britannia performed without lyrics at last night of the proms. And this is according to a new poll. YouGov research for The Times has found that 55% oppose the move. Let's speak to Neil Wallis, a titan of the tabloids, media consultant, former newspaper editor. Neil, welcome to the show.
Hello there.
Neil, why does the BBC have a problem with Britain?
What an excellent question. It is quite staggering, isn't it, that they seem to almost go out of their way to try to find a way to offend their core audience. And this whole farrago of nonsense over the last night of the proms is a perfect microcosm. But as you indicate, it isn't just about this. This is just a great example of how those lovies who work there in BBC Centre, right in the middle of West One in London, just have no understanding whatsoever of the real people out here in the world, whether it's in West London, West Cornwall, West Hartlepool.
Yeah.
They have lost contact with how ordinary people think. And you know what? They don't care. All they do is they talk to each other. All they're interested in is what each other thinks. And it's quite depressing. One of the most depressing things that I read recently was how trust in the BBC, once high in the highs of 70 or 80%, is now down to the 40s. What a terrible thing when you consider none of us, or hardly any of us out here, get a choice about supporting the BBC, because if we've got a television or a radio, they charge us for it. And that tax, which is basically a poll tax, we can go to prison if we defy it. And it's wrong, and it calls for genuine debate, I think, and he's getting a lot of debate about how it can continue like this. They have to change something in the BBC headquarters in the way they think.
They seem, don't they, Neil, to conflate patriotism and loving your country, which I think is something that really you ought to do, and rampant nationalism and xenophobia and jingoism. The two things are very, very different, but the BBC don't seem to spot the difference.
One of the things you've got to remember, Mark, is that the BBC have thousands upon thousands of journalists. They have endless experts. They have endless people researching, etc. But you know what? They got the last general election catastrophically wrong.
Yeah.
Nowhere in that great maw of people, all of those intellects, all of those brain cells, actually were able to pick up the fact that the Tories under Boris Johnson were going to have a landslide. And all the things that they basically adore, these people, all the sort of Jeremy Corbyn type stuff about hating your country, supporting the IRA, backing all those people who don't like us, want to run us down, want to do this country down. You know, the Jeremy Corbyn mantra was rejected wholeheartedly by the great British public. It's just that no one has noticed. They didn't notice at the time at the BBC, and they haven't noticed since it happened. It might, as far as they're concerned, we all got it wrong. I mean, that's one of the extraordinary things, I think. It's not just that they disagree. They actually think, well, you know, what a stupid people. What do they know?
Yeah.
They got it all wrong. And Land of Hope and Glory and the debate about whether it should be sung or not is a microcosm of that. I love the fact that the Vera Lynn's version has been topping the charts on the download charts.
Brilliant.
As it's being bought by endless numbers of the British public, essentially to wave two fingers at the BBC. And the BBC, you know what? They don't know. They don't care. The big thing is, the depressing thing is, I really don't think they care. They just think we're stupid.
Indeed, it has echoes of Emily Thornberry. Do you remember years ago she
Yes,
was in a
yes.
northern town and she took a picture of a house that had the flag of St. George on the front of it, and she made some comment, and it was very supercilious and it was very snobby, and it was about the fact that anyone would deign to have a flag of the country in which they live in front of their home.
Yeah, the idea to them, to people like Emily Thornberry, who of course lives in Islington, which is right in the centre of London. She's a classic. She's married to a High Court judge, a lord. Her real name is something like Lady Emily Doodah of Doodahville. She probably can't even remember what it is actually, because she's so used to it. But these people they just look down their noses at the way ordinary people think. And they think we should be told. There was an inquiry into the BBC that took years, that eventually, a couple of years ago, concluded, you know what, we got our coverage of Europe and the EC completely wrong, because we simply regarded these Brexiteers as idiots. So we didn't bother to present their point of view. They actually had an internal inquiry going on several years that reached that conclusion. The rest of us could have told them from the very beginning, but they know better. The same thing went on. They had a similar investigation into their coverage of Israel and Zionism. And you know what? They found it was overwhelmingly sympathetic to the Palestinian cause and Palestinian groups like Hezbollah and Hamas, the terrorist groups, were getting disproportionate coverage. And so they said, oh, sorry, has it changed much? I'm not sure it has.
Extraordinary. It is extraordinary, isn't it? Ultimately, what sticks in the craw, Neil, is the fact that, as you said earlier, we have to pay for the debasement of our country, of our history. In case anybody accuses me of sort of jingoism or rampant nationalism, I'd like to mention that my surname is Dolan. My family are Irish, and my parents came over to London, to the UK in the 1960s and made a new life here. I am so grateful for the opportunity that this country has provided my family and therefore myself. And that's what makes me patriotic. But maybe that patriotism is a bit unfashionable now. I'm wondering whether it's not just the BBC, Neil, but a generation of young British people who think that songs like Land of Hope and Glory and Rule Britannia are a bit outmoded. What do you think?
I think that the more that they continually get told that is the case, right, the danger is that it will happen, which is why it's important that things like talk radio and similar talk stations that are not sort of bowing the knee to the BBC woke line are telling the proper story and are getting that out there. I'm on Twitter a lot, and I see on Twitter that there is a fight back against this. People are just appalled by it. I'm sure you, like me, follow Lawrence Fox. Yeah. Tremendous courage. This young guy has stood up to say no to all the people.
Risked his career as an actor.
And I fear that it may well have damaged his career. Don't forget, we're in the midst not just of woke culture, but cancel culture as well, whereby people are not allowed to continue if they don't toe the party line. It's straight out of the brown shirts Nazi rule book from the 1930s. It's straight out of 1984, George Orwell's terrifying book. It's straight out of things like The Handmaid's Tale, about what happens to you if you don't toe the public party line. And you're seeing it in these videos on Twitter at the moment of people being harassed and harangued and assaulted by young activists for Black Lives Matter in America. All grist to the Trump mill, of course. But it's all part of the same kind of thinking that says it is now, you're not allowed to think that something as traditional as Rule Britannia that has been sung for decades on the last night of the proms, that's not allowed anymore for some spurious reason that someone drags up and has no awareness or no connection to what our culture is.
Well, every song about the country, all national songs are chest thumping, and the message of every national song, whether it's in Italy or Azerbaijan, is this country's great. Hooray for this country. That's what those songs are, Neil. We are so delighted to have enjoyed your company. He truly is the titan of the tabloids, and with the clock against us, I will thank you for your time, Neil. Media consultant, former newspaper editor, and I look forward to our next encounter.